AI is everywhere.
AI.
Main Story tonight concerns AI. It saves significant time writing emails, and all it costs us is everything else on Earth.
With AI, the way I think about it as it relates to small businesses is it's just another mechanism for helping your company become more efficient. How do we get people comfortable using AI and using it in a way that makes them more efficient?
How do they get a hold of their data sets?
In controversial ways, basically everything from the internet, and use that to train their models, and they used copyright data. Is that ethical? You basically have more senior software engineers who've been doing this for 15 years. What they can do with AI tools is much more efficient than what an entry-level software engineer can do with tools. Their brilliance, their brains going to companies that are Bay Area based, I think is a shame for Humboldt County.
Marie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
How are you today?
Doing well.
Yeah.
It's a nice cloudy Saturday. Mother's Day's tomorrow. Nice weekend. Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
So it's been about 6 months since we last have been here all together, and we talked about your business then, and we have all grown a lot. Your Grounded AI has grown a lot since then. Our podcast has grown a lot. I bet.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I bet the quality's probably sounding a little nicer on this one than that one.
Legit. Yeah.
But I think it's good to see progression. It's good to see improvement, throughout a process and throughout doing something. And I'm definitely certain that you have seen progression and development with your business.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is some of that progression and development that you've experienced since we last had you on the podcast?
Yeah, thanks. Where do I start? It's been a whirlwind, 6 months since we last spoke. I think 6 months ago, I was still trying to define what I was offering. Was I a consulting firm? Was I, offering AI-specific work, product management? It's kind of all over the place. And I think what surprised me about moving back was how much of an opportunity there was to help Humboldt County businesses specifically. I really didn't think that was something that people would care about. And I think, too, moving back last summer and seeing the technology gap here in real time made me feel this level of inspiration that I hadn't felt up to that point. So really taking not just my experience, but that inspiration of living here, loving Humboldt County so much, and wanting to contribute to the local economy, to local businesses, help hire more. All of that kind of went into my inspiration for Grounded AI, and I think became something that really has resonated with a lot of folks in the community. So it's been really exciting to see.
So when we first had you on, that was November. So fun fact, we pre-recorded all those. Had you on in November, and that was probably like prime time for the competition, right? And you started there in September, right? When did you first know about the competition and start getting involved? Was it September?
I think September. That's when those evening events started, right?
And November, that was still going on. I mean, all the way until December.
Yeah.
How did your plan change from September to, let's just say, January, when the classes started to kick off?
Last fall, I was still doing consulting work primarily for remote clients, and I was focused on product management, and I was focused on helping tech startups. So there was a legal AI startup that I was helping. I was doing some consulting work with other product managers in the Bay Area. So I was focused mostly on these other cities, and going to these classes or going to these events last fall and just seeing what a built out ecosystem Startup Humboldt was made me realize that there was an opportunity to really funnel my knowledge to the local community. But I still thought that was consulting. I didn't think it was a full-blown company. I had a conversation with John Ballard last December.
Shout out.
And yeah, and he, gave me this guidance that I really took to heart of, one, you should apply to the micro venture track. There's no one else in Humboldt County with your specific experience. And two, we need to get your brain, your experience, and just funnel it to our local area. And he really helped me see that that was possible. And so I formed Grounded AI in January. I spent a lot of time on the initial application. I got feedback from lots of folks to make sure that it just encompassed everything that I was thinking. And then I found out, I think in February, that I was a semifinalist, and the rest was history. And those classes were another just great step of just refining my business model and financial plan.
So you had Hyperfocus AI. That was your last thing.
Yeah.
Was that kind of what you wanted Grounded AI to be, but you guys just like kind of pivoted along the way? Like, how did that go about from you wanting to apply and changing?
I think it wasn't, my last venture wasn't specific enough. I think you can't, and this goes for any business, you can't be everything for everyone. I have product management experience, but so do a lot of people. A lot of people have tech experience. And so if you're just trying to market yourself as another tech consultant, you're not going to land with anyone. So I think what I struggled with my last venture was finding that specificity and leaning into it. And I was afraid that by doing that, I would cut off clients because I'd be narrowing myself too much to this market. But the opposite happened, and people connected with the vision in a way that they hadn't been able to before.
Do you recommend, obviously recommend niching down, but sometimes when there's an opportunity for some work and it's not in like your niche of what you do, but like you know how to do it still, like would you still say like, no, I don't do that? Or would you say, we might as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently exploring that now. Since the competition, I've had a lot of interest, and I had mentioned to folks that I built my own website using AI and low-code tools. And since the competition, I've had requests to build websites using AI-assisted software development for people, which isn't something that I initially marketed to anyone. But there's been enough interest. I might also hold workshops on building your own personal website using AI tools. And when I brought that up with folks, people seemed really interested in it. So I think, you have to be comfortable enough to pivot and look where the interest is and kind of go from there. And then also, alternately, if something isn't landing with people, be comfortable to kind of let that go.
Yeah, because when you do something like, for example, consulting work, I never thought I would get into it. I started telling people about it because like it just like so happened to just fall in my lap, and I'm like, oh sure, like I can help you out. Like I don't do consulting, but like I'll figure it out. And now that's like something I want to pursue more and do. So it's like I've done it before, have that experience, and now I'm like, oh yeah, more people are asking for it. Sure, let's try that out and see how that avenue works. So I really like that. You saw, so you had a specific skill set that you weren't marketing. People found out about it, and now you're like, oh yeah, we do this. Yeah, so that's really cool.
What are some of the differences between the services that Grounded AI is providing that Hyperfocused was not?
Yeah, I would say it's completely different. Before, I was focused on providing product management consulting for tech companies. So basically figuring out what needs to happen to launch an AI product to production, which is something I did in software development for 16 years. I still offer that, but it's not my primary offering. It's just if there are people trying to build their own AI product, I can absolutely help them with that. But outside of that now, it's very much focused on how do we get people comfortable using AI and using it in a way that makes them more efficient, save time in their day, and give more time for the things they want to do, and primarily focused on small businesses. So what that means is there's a few tiers Kind of on the entry point, I'm partnering with local organizations to offer workshops. So set up Claude Code and set up some skills and routines and, have it send you a daily brief of your inbox and your calendar for the day and summarize, the top priority things for you, as an example. And then kind of on the mid tier, it would be helping individuals with more custom workflows. So that would be solo entrepreneurs or small teams. And then on the top tier, it would be larger local organizations who need more robust technical features. There's a lot of data in a lot of different places, and we need to connect it all. And so that would be using something like an API integration to bring it all together. The amazing thing that has happened in the last 6 months, I think, really is this rise of Claude Code, Codex. There were tools like that before, and Claude Code was available before, and the terminal was primarily used by software developers. Then they created an interface that made it very easy for non-technical folks, non-software engineers to build products. AI is better at coding than software engineers are a lot of the time. And software engineers aren't even coding day-to-day anymore. They're using tools like Claude Code and Codex. So the opportunity there is vast, where before, if I was just a product manager and there was work that needed to be done, I would need to work with a development team, and that would cost tens of thousands of dollars and take many months for a team of engineers to code everything. Now I can just talk to Claude Code and tell it what I need to do, and it'll take it in and it'll build something for me. So the opportunities there are just vast. And the fact that I have so much experience speaking to software engineers, I know how to be very specific, very detailed. These are the same things you need to be able to do when you're speaking to AI. Not to say that software engineers are like AI, but it's been a real journey, and I think the amount of time it takes to develop software has become infinitely faster, which is amazing.
I wanted to ask you, software is a great segue to what I want to start talking to you about now, is the difference in AI, these LLMs. What why is Claude better than Chat at coding when they're both fundamentally the same LLM?
The underlying techniques are the same, but every company has their own system, and they are also on very different timelines. So, and I would also argue Claude Code is not the furthest ahead now, and it changes on a week-to-week or day-to-day basis.
It does.
Everyone kind of jumped on the Claude Code train a few months ago, and now, I don't know if you've seen, they've had issues with token limits. And so what that means is you're building, it'll say, you reached your limit, you'll get access again in 4 hours. And then you're stuck. You're like, okay, I either pay $50 to use it or I switch to something else. And so I switched to something else, which is Codex. Codex was further behind their OpenAI's Claude Code equivalent. And they used to be primarily for software developers, similar to how Claude Code started, but their interface has gotten way better. Their memory has gotten way better. They're so fast. I've tested things between both systems actually this week, and Codex I found to be a lot better. But again,
Really?
Next week that might change. So it's just you have to be tool agnostic in a sense and be comfortable using a lot of different things. And then back to your question, there's so many factors that go into what makes an LLM good or bad. They all have different access to, different amounts of, data storage, GPUs. So that's always changing. And the way they're fine-tuned is going to be different company by company, model by model. You'll even find some models within the same organization are going to be better or worse. So there is a lot of variability.
How do you think, who do you think has the biggest advantage, which, of the top three LLMs? Because I would say Gemini does, because they have access to Google, which is
They do.
everything.
Yeah, but they were also further behind when ChatGPT launched at the end of 2022. And I worked with the Gemini team early on in 2023. Their early models were really
Bard,
good at
right?
all. Yeah, Bard, exactly.
Bard, yeah.
They were not good. And I remember they'd wanted us to use their models and say, what would it take? And just said, there's just too big of a gap between how well ChatGPT is versus, your models. So they've had to do a lot of catch up. Meta as well has a lot of resources, but they're also kind of playing catch up. And the thing I've noticed is that the larger the organization, the Google and Meta size, there's so much to coordinate, facilitate. They're actually slower than OpenAI and Anthropic that were created and are purely focused on, AI and LLMs. The ones that do everything have had to kind of pivot. They've had to lay off, non-AI organizations. They're trying to hire people. These companies are consistently poaching employees from each other, but usually it's like Google and Meta trying to get the good OpenAI and Anthropic employees. And so I would argue it's the opposite, that OpenAI and Anthropic are going to be further ahead.
How do they get a hold of their data sets? How are they able to train up a model to be better than the one that has access to fucking Google?
Yeah.
Like how does that work?
In controversial ways. I mean, you think about the open lawsuits that the New York Times and other media organizations have filed against OpenAI and, about training on, New York Times articles. They took basically everything from the internet and used that to train their models, and they used copyright data. So that's why there's,
And using it too, right? It trains the model if you're not paying for a business subscription, right? You using it is training.
OpenAI's free plan, I don't know if they are doing that, but I know that they did say they were going to offer or start showing ads to the free tier, which is controversial because if you think about how a lot of people use ChatGPT, you talk about personal things, you talk about difficult conversations. How do I talk to this person? How do I do this? And if you think about a large tech company having access to that and then using that data to sell you something, you're in a very vulnerable state. Like, you're a lot likelier to buy that. Is that ethical? Is that the right thing to do?
I think, yeah, it sounds like that's like the next level of marketing, because they already do the targeted ads on Instagram and TikTok or wherever. Everything on your phone already has targeted.
It's listening.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I think the next step is actually knowing what you want, instead of just like, oh, you typed in a lawnmower on Instagram, you're watching a lawnmower video, now we're going to start targeting you lawnmower. And
it goes back to the education piece, because we can't stop big tech companies from using our data, but we can mitigate it and we can be educated. And so I know, like, LinkedIn, for example, was going to start using any post you made to train their models. And you had to know that this was happening, and then you had to know where to go in settings to toggle that off.
they hide that stuff from you.
They hide it, and so that's why that education piece is so important, because there are things you can do to protect yourself in these apps, but you need to just be aware when it's happening.
I totally agree. I think that data security is a rising issue, has been for a couple decades now. And I want to shift back to grounded AI, and I want to talk about the goals for your clients. As far as when you take a meeting with a potential client, what are their goals typically? Is it efficiency? Are they looking for, okay, I'm trying to increase or decrease the amount of time that me or my team spends on assignments? I'm looking for efficiency. Is it data security? They're like, I want to teach my team how to responsibly use AI in the workplace so that we don't see our balance sheet on the internet tomorrow morning. Is it so? Yeah. Are they looking for? Are your clients that are looking to pay you for your services? Are they looking for data security training? Are they looking for efficiency training, or is it something else? What are the goals that your clients have for your services?
Yeah, good question. I would say, with AI, the way I think about it as it relates to small businesses is it's just another mechanism for helping your company become more efficient, grow, get more clients, save time, save money. The co-founder of Anthropic was recently interviewed, and what he referred to it as was Schlep work. It's like, how do we mitigate the Schlep work in your day? Just the things that are taking up a lot of time that you have to do that aren't necessarily, necessary for you to do. So it's like an example.
Like the menial tasks, right?
Yeah, like going back to the daily brief example, you wake up in the morning, you have to look at your emails, you have to remember what emails did I send yesterday, you have to look at your calendar for the week, your calendar for the day, figure out where you need to block off time for focus work. You need to look at the day's headlines as they relate to your job. That's a lot of context switching, a lot of moving between platforms. If you could just funnel that into one thing, you're saving a lot of time and you're becoming more efficient. That's a pretty small example, but going back to your question on what the companies I'm talking to are looking for, I think a lot of the times it starts with one big problem. And it could be, hey, there's one person on our team who's been here for 30 years and he has all of this institutional knowledge and he knows exactly how something needs to get done. But if he goes on vacation, we're stuck for a few weeks waiting for him to come back. We don't have a way to speed up time now because there's this one person who's kind of a stopgap. And so how do we get that knowledge out of his head, and how do we make that something that's repeatable that anyone in the company can do so that next time something needs to get done, that knowledge is already somewhere? And
SOPs.
Yeah.
You got to get that information from that senior VP, and you gotta get all of it into SOPs so all the new hires and interns can duplicate the work that the senior VP does. And it doesn't make that person completely obsolete, but it makes it so that they can go on vacation. And for me personally,
That's what you need to do as a building manager here.
Dude, that's where my mind went. So I'm the building manager for Startup Humboldt. And I'm going to Europe this summer.
Oh, fun.
And so I'm not going to be here for 2 weeks.
Oh,
and so so we used AI to help build out all these SOPs so that other people can run so that the team can run the office without me. So I found that as far as, and so that goes back to, that's like a similar case to what you were saying. And it's very useful for building out SOPs. I've found that's a very, very useful way. So would you say that the majority of your clients are looking for efficiency?
I'd say so. Time savings, time to take on more clients, time to focus on what they really care about in the organization. It's that pain point of, oh my gosh, there's this menial task that I have to do every week that takes so much time, and I'd rather be doing this other thing because that would lead to more clients, more deals, more money, but I can't because I'm doing this and I don't have the money to hire someone. It doesn't make sense to hire someone to do just this one menial task. I can't afford an administrative assistant, so I'm going to use AI to help me save time.
I have a list of things with the SBDC that I would love AI to do for me.
Yeah.
One of them that I can definitely openly say is newsletters. You're putting together this newsletter and you're manually dragging text boxes into slots to type stuff in them.
Like you're purposefully building it out, or manually building it all out.
Yeah. And I'm like, they're like, I can't believe I'm like, we're still doing this in 2026. And so,
Let me tell you something. It's just so funny that you mentioned newsletters. I built my first newsletter for Grounded AI last night. I haven't announced it yet, but I published the first version. And it took me maybe 2 hours, but that includes updating the website so that there's a newsletter section. That includes adding a subscription modal so that when you're on the Grounded AI website, you can say, I want to subscribe to this newsletter. You click it, you put in your email address. I used, again, AI to add that into my website. And yeah, I get a million AI newsletters every week, and I read through everything. I still enjoy reading through things and taking things in because I do think you can't discount the taste and the discernment that you need to have for building a good newsletter. You don't just want AI slop and AI to decide what's good or not. So I read through everything yesterday. I said, okay, these 2 articles are really good and really applicable to Humboldt County businesses. And I told Claude Code, can you build me out a newsletter? I want these sections. And it's basically like telling an intern, this is what I need. Here's the draft. Here's what it needs to include. Can you help format that? And it did it. I didn't think it was great. I said, Claude Code, that's not great. Let me try Codex. I think Codex did a better job. Again, I've had them kind of play off each other too. If I think one does something better than the other, I'm like, hey, I was on Claude Code, Codex, and this is what happened.
I do that as well.
It really improves the outputs.
Yeah, it gets a little offended, and it's
Yeah.
like, all right, I'll do better. Like,
Yeah.
let me,
Start rage
know.
baiting the LLMs.
I know. So, no, all that to say, newsletters, absolutely something you can do. I'm coming from my last, AI company. It was an AI tool for marketing teams. So as far as my own experience, I think AI for social posts, ads, newsletters, blog posts, you can do if you know how to do it right. I can help you with that if you ever have questions.
Can I mention something?
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of hate here or resistance to AI here, right? But everybody I see, everyone who complains about it is using it in their social media posts, in their marketing assets.
Do they know they're using it?
I think they do because they don't try to hide it. Like, you can tell it's written by ChatGPT. You can tell it's probably made by Gemini's Nano Banana. And it's just like, why do you guys hate it so much if that's all you use for your stuff? Like, maybe if you did want to use it for your stuff, don't make it so obvious. It's too obvious.
That's really
There's
funny.
like Instagram captions, with hyphens, emojis,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
There's so many tells. It's really funny when the AI tells of like, one of them is honestly with a question mark. I've never seen an actual human do that. But when you have certain posts, it's like, and honestly, it's X, not Y. And
Yeah, and then it also does the through this and through that, I've been able to do this and that. I hate that part. Like, we mentioned this the last time. It was that and the hyphens.
the long hyphens. I know.
I hate those still.
AI loves long hyphens so much, and I've even gotten things generated where I'm like, can you please remove the long hyphens? And it won't the first couple of times. It's like, it won't let go. Like, you have to let go.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
do this.
no hyphens.
I love
none of that BS. Just
I love
commas.
all the memes about like hyphens, it can't stop using hyphens. So I've trained mine down to like, all right, calm with the hyphens, use a comma. Like, if you use this, like I think there's only one hyphen. And so like I've trained mine down. I actually ran like all the papers I wrote in college. I downloaded them and ran them through AI so that it knows how I write.
That's
and
great.
I tell it to use my writing style, but like, a little bit smarter, because I'm, gotten a little smarter since I was 18. But I actually had to like dumb it down a little bit. And I was like, actually, like, this sounds too smart. I don't know what that word means. I would never use it.
I just have to say this, and then I do want to get to your other question, but when you're uploading a file to one of these systems, do not upload PDFs, or if you do, immediately convert it to a markdown file, .md.
Okay.
You're going to save so much memory. AI is just going to work better for you. When
Like
it has to parse through PDF files, it takes so much time for it to read it, scan it. You use up tokens unnecessarily.
Oh.
So what I do is I have it convert it to a .md file, save it in a folder on my desktop, and then when it needs to reference something, it easily pulls that in. And in Claude Code, you can add skills that are also .md files.
Oh, whoa.
So,
Andrew, clip that.
All right, it's clipped.
When he's editing, he's gonna
Yeah.
but
yeah,
yes, back to your question though. I have not come across people who are blatantly using AI but say they hate it. But
Really? You haven't seen on Instagram
I
or
mean,
anything?
I don't. I guess I haven't spoken to those specific people, but I will say, going through just working with entrepreneurs in the community, it is still a controversial topic in some settings, to where I've introduced myself and what I do, and people will kind of say, "Oh, by the way, I use ChatGPT to do this, this, and this." And they talk about it, but it's kind of like low key. They don't want the whole room to know about it.
They're
It's kinda
afraid
like,
to
they're
let
afraid
the
of that
room know that.
judgment.
Yeah. I totally see that, and even I have to be careful with, like, and especially in our community. What are some of the threats that AI brings to the table, and how do you approach those threats?
Like threats to the community or the
Like, I guess,
businesses,
like some of the threats and concerns that that people have attached to AI that is provoking such controversy. Like,
Yeah.
what are there people that are bringing those up to you? Like, what are the things that they're saying, and like, how do you address those concerns?
I think so. The things that I've heard come up the most locally, one is the sycophancy, and just this was a problem like a little over a year ago. It was like there was a version of OpenAI, I think it was 4.0 or something. Anything you said to it, it was just like, oh my gosh, honestly, that is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard you say in my life. And
I hate that.
Oh, yes, like it's a yes man.
Yeah. So it was like, and people were joking about it on, like, I think I read it. I saw like someone was like, I have this amazing business idea for like selling shit, literally. And ChatGPT is like, honestly, that is such a groundbreaking idea. No one's doing that. You should do it. Like, it was saying, it just agrees with everything you say.
I'm gonna jump out of a plane with no parachute. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And honestly, that's groundbreaking.
Yeah, like that. I could see where that can be a serious concern.
That can be a serious concern as far as human dependence, because the sycophancy, that goes hand in hand with just this dependence on AI chatbots. If you're going to a chatbot anytime you have conflict with someone else or something, personal's going on, it's going to take your side, even if you're wrong. And so they've done studies where people who are in a fight, they'll each go to AI, and rather than helping it bring them together, they actually get more entrenched in their separate viewpoints and are less likely to apologize, even when an apology is potentially warranted, because AI will take their side and be like, no, this is why they're wrong. This is why this, and this, and you're right. Psychologically, that's not great. Even going back to that podcast with the co-founder of Anthropic, he was pressed to answer, would you let your children use AI? And he eventually said no, because I do think that psychologically, and this is what he said, that children who are raised using AI and having something that just agrees with them no matter what are going to be a little different, a little weird. You need to be able to talk to other humans in the world who have different viewpoints, who don't agree with you, so that you can challenge your own perspectives and just learn how to, be a person in the world. So that is a legitimate problem, I would say.
I've had issues where I'm trying to figure something out, and I talk to AI, and it's like, oh, you should go about this. It backs you up. It's like, oh, you're an agency level producer, and I'm like, no, I'm not. But okay, like, yeah, that's eventually where I want to be someday. Sure, but
yeah.
And then I go ask somebody who has been in this business for probably almost as long as I've been alive. And I'm like, hey, what should I do in this situation? He's like, oh, you should do this because this is how I've landed work. Here's how you can do it too. And then I go back to AI and I'm like, this is all BS. Like what it's telling me. Like I almost,
it's really good at sounding confident about things that's like completely wrong about.
Yeah,
So
and
that's the
it doesn't know
challenge.
the full story either. It doesn't
Yeah.
know exactly who you are. And I know a lot of people take a lot of time to upload like their medical history, their
Yeah.
like all of their emails, everything
That's a
that they
big one,
do.
health data.
I don't agree with that personally, but yeah, it's just
Uploading health
like I would rather talk to somebody who's been in the business. Like for example, for tax advice. We have a friend here today who's involved in the tax world off camera. And if I go to ChatGPT and I'm like, hey, what should I do for my like tax planning or whatever? And it gives me one thing. And I go to my friend here and I'm like, what do you think about doing this? He's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like,
Yeah. No, I
like,
know.
are you stupid, bro? Like,
There was an article actually that I saw before taxes were due saying, do not use chatbots to file your tax returns. I'm sure people did that anyway. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of errors. I see the accountant nodding over there, like, yes. That and legal advice. It's like legal advice. People drafting legal documents using ChatGPT is becoming more and more common, unfortunately. It's going to make things up. It's going to sound like it knows what it's talking about. But then if any lawyer reads that document, they're going to be like, what is this crap? This isn't legitimate. Same with, medical advice. I think, I think there's a balance. And obviously, doctors, lawyers, accountants are using AI as well. But they have that level of discernment to be able to say, this, it's right about this. It's not right about this.
you know what? You know how I would like to go about it more is ideate with it. So draft a legal document. And I'm like, hey, I want to say this. I want this clause. I want to do this. And then I'll go talk to, say, a lawyer or somebody who understands the law, better than ChatGPT. And instead of paying $500 for an hour of their time, it's like $250 for half an hour to refine it and get it properly, up to code, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think switching to that is better than just relying on it fully and praying that it's good.
The human in the loop piece. And that goes with any like automation you're doing with AI, any agentic workflow. You always want to be the last human to review it. You don't want to just let something happen without your, discernment, review. This works, this doesn't work.
Most people think they have a content problem. They actually have a clarity problem. In the modern economy, attention is the global currency. AAA Productions helps build repeatable content systems to scale your authority. Connect with us using the links in the description. Thank you, and back to the show. I hope that AI gets to the point where you don't need to build out like a project file, where you have it like pre-trained to, talk in this language or whatever. Yeah. So instead of setting all of that up, you can just click new chat and it won't forget any other previous chat. It'll like remember and be more context driven. Do you see that being a thing in the next like year or so?
Yeah. I mean, as context windows increase, as, these large companies access to bigger data centers and GPUs increase, then it becomes more and more possible. And if you're paying for the $200 a month top tier subscriptions, it is easier to do that today. It's just a matter of making it more available to people, those of us paying $20 a month still, Yeah. And also, like, let me be clear, you don't have to create the markdown file yourself. You ask AI to do that for you. You just say as a last step, hey, all this information I gave you, please create a .md file. And anytime I say, caption, social media, like these words in the future, reference it. And it does that for you. So you're not having to create these documents yourself.
And which model is the best to do that with?
It like changes every week. Like ChatGPT just launched a really good one. I think it's 5.5. And then the Opus models are really good on Anthropic. But yeah, they're just, you have to kind of, and you can even ask it too, like but it changes by week to week because they're constantly releasing new models.
Is Opus owned by
Anthropic?
Oh, really? So do you know the AI clip generator for videos called Opus Clip?
Oh, really?
Like Agent Opus? Is that Anthropic?
I don't know. I haven't heard of that.
Because I've heard like like there's this new thing coming out for Opus Clip. It's called Agent Opus.
Okay.
And you're saying Opus, which is owned by Anthropic. That's actually, that would be really cool if they're
Interesting.
owned by that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool because they use like APIs and stuff for like a video editor, like a online
cool.
video editor kind of. It's not that good, but I'd be very surprised to.
They've been, Anthropic's been going more like vertical. So basically, they created a design tool a few weeks ago that's really great. You can just wireframe, mock up things, and then send those designs to Claude Code, and it builds it for you. They had some like financial agents that they released for, financial advisors and things like that. So they're going very like profession specific, the way they're kind of building these things out. So
Interesting. What is your prediction for where AI is going to be in the next couple of, I guess, years or decades? What do you think?
I don't think anyone knows.
You think it's here to stay?
Yes, I do. I think similar to the internet, similar to the steam engine, electricity, it's just one of those, giant advancements that are going to change the way humans live and collaborate with each other. Just, yeah.
So yeah, there's like all this, all this, this AI is better, that, this LLM's better, that LLM's better, chat's the best. What I've found is that, and I want to see if you like agree with this and like to what degree. I've found that you just got to run with one and train it and use it and spend time with it and develop it to get it to where you want it. And then you'll have something good. And that if you, whether it doesn't matter which one you choose, you have to spend some time with it and work with it to get it trained up and in a position to where it's, efficient for you to use for your day-to-day processes. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I think it's risky to be too attached to any one company or model because things change so quickly. And so something I built out, and I did not build this out like with my own knowledge. I used Nate B. Jones. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's this thought leader in the AI space. He publishes his own prompt kits and build out, he had this concept called an open brain. This kind of goes back to when I reached my context limits with Anthropic and I was shut off from using it for 4 hours. Basically, he went through the steps of creating your own free database using Supabase, then using a tool called OpenRouter that communicates with any LLM you're using. So that could be Claude, that could be ChatGPT or Codex, rather. Basically, I connected this open brain using a bunch of different API keys and secrets. He goes through the process. It's very just time consuming. It is Schlep work, but it's worth it. And what that means is that Claude or I should rather say like Anthropic and OpenAI can share context between each other, because then you don't just have this LLM layer, you have this database layer where you can say, I have this thought I want to save, Claude Code. I did X, Y, and Z, and here's where I'm at. Please save this as a thought. It saves it to your database, which I wish I had an architecture diagram, database down here. And then if you go to the other tool, to Codex, and say, hey, recall this thought about X, Y, Z, it can pull it in. So you have this ability for them to communicate with each other.
What was it called again? AI brain?
Open brain.
Open brain. So
open brain, Nate B. Jones, yeah.
Okay, so Open Brain is a tool that can pull data from all your LLMs.
It's
so
like an underlying database layer that you create yourself using a tool called Supabase.
I'm gonna look into that because I think that could be pretty useful for me. I didn't know that was on the table.
There's so much on the table.
I wish I knew about that like 6 months ago, because I was having issues with ChatGPT, and then I got the business plan on ChatGPT, so I had to funnel in all of the free from the knowledge from the free account to the business account, and then like the free trial on business expired. So then I was like, you know what? I'm paying for Gemini already. I'm just gonna start migrating everything to Gemini, and then that took forever.
They
and
make it really hard to, intentionally so that you stay with them. They don't let you export your data like that. So if you're on ChatGPT and you're trying to get it over to Claude Code, it's going to be really hard to do all that.
I've tried exporting the ChatGPT data, but it's hard to integrate into Gemini. Like I was like, hey, can you read this and tell me what you know about, see what you know about me from this? And it's it didn't really work. So I had to rebuild.
It's too much data for it to take in. So rather than trying to give it all that data from your piece, you have this database layer that sits underneath it. And then that database layer talks to all these different tools, and then you're here, and then when you have a query, whichever one you go to, it's referencing the same underlying DB structure.
It just connects all your LLMs so that everything's together. All the information is in one place.
And the great thing about this too, again, just going back to my earlier point, is I would have needed a team of software engineers to build something like this for me before.
Yeah,
I built this on my own with a step-by-step guide in a couple hours on a Monday morning. That's just, as someone who, relied on developer timelines, how long is this going to take, how many months, and you have a team of 10 developers and they're all trying to, do different parts of this giant project, like that entire paradigm has shifted. I just think the possibilities, we don't even know what the possibilities are yet. To answer your question about next year, 2 years, 5 years, we just don't even know. Things are moving so quickly. Open brain is a fairly new concept as well. This hasn't been around the whole time. AI has been around. The capabilities of these LLMs have just drastically evolved in such a short amount of time.
Exponentially.
You think about how long it took for the internet to get to what it was a lot longer. And I think AI, the timelines are just so much shorter.
What do you think? I kind of want to get into this topic of big companies, billion-dollar corporations firing or not hiring low-level, entry-level job employees to do that when they can just do it with AI for cheaper. What do you think about that whole craze? And what do you think that can do to a small job market like Humboldt County?
Yeah, I think for certain professions like software engineers, I think that is a concern. Absolutely. I think I've read about, software engineers. I think probably around, the time that I was graduating college, kind of the 2010, 2011, and the years after that, computer science became such a big degree. It became so popular. Now, software engineers are having a hard time getting entry-level positions because you basically have more senior software engineers who've been doing this for 15 years. What they can do with AI tools is much more efficient than what an entry-level software engineer can do with tools. And the other thing I read is that entry-level software engineers who use AI tools then forget the coding they learned, because then they just become overly reliant because they haven't had the years of experience that a software developer who's been coding for decades has. I guess I don't know what's going to happen with that.
I feel like it really comes down to, if these jobs are obsolete with technology, should they even exist, or should we push back on technological development because it's threatening people's jobs? I think that's the ultimate question, is that there's the Darwinistic approach of, it's all about efficiency, optimization, what's going to turn the best profit. If we can cut these salaries by replacing them with AI, then we're going to do it because it makes the most sense, and we can potentially lower the rates for our customers or pay the employees that we do keep more. And then there's the other approach of, well, if AI is, if technological development takes these jobs, it's going to create all these displaced individuals, and put them in a position that's unfavorable, and from an ethical standpoint,
Yeah.
it raises concern. So I feel like that's the two sides of it that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And which side do you feel like you fall more towards? Feel free to say in between.
I don't think software engineers are obsolete. I think they're absolutely needed, and people with that knowledge, like, we shouldn't just hand off all of that knowledge, because eventually the folks that are doing this are going to retire. You know, there's going to be a need for people with that skill set. I just think their skill set, similar to product management, where I came from, is just expanding and changing. You know, they're going to need to be able to discern, you know, not just, okay, what does the code need to look like, but take it kind of a step outside of that. Okay, what does this mean for the other systems here? What does this mean for the architecture as a whole? Like, they're going to need to be able to think on a different scale than they did before. And normally that would have been, you know, architects, principal engineers with lots of experience doing this, and they already are, but people are going to need to replace those people, I think.
If you were operating a business and technological development allowed the opportunity to forego multiple salaries on your team, and you're able to take that money that you saved on those salaries and reallocate it towards paying you and your employees more, would you do that? Would you replace them with AI because it's the more optimal and efficient decision for your business? Or would you keep those employees and not bring in the more advanced technological developments because it saves those people a job?
I would just retrain those people, just upskill. I think that's the ethical thing to do. I think everyone is going to need to learn how to use AI in some level. People are already using AI and don't realize they're using it. And so, I mean, if you use iMessages or Gmail, you're using AI today.
Just get
if you're
that.
using Google
Yeah.
search, you're using AI today. Almost everyone is using it in some form.
Can't avoid it.
Everyone's jobs, I'd say most people's jobs, are going to change in some form. So people are going to need to learn how to use these tools. So instead of, you know, a traditional software engineer who writes lines of code, their job may shift to an AI implementation engineer. There's this giant system that needs to be built custom for this client. Now someone with that coding experience who understands how to talk to AI about technical concepts can use AI assisted software development to build something that before would have been not possible for them to do. So I think it's just their roles are going to shift. So if I were in that position, I would just work on how do I train my workforce so that they are equipped with that knowledge to be competitive and to be successful and to make sure my company is successful.
Yeah. Retrain them, refocus, get increased revenue so that everyone can get paid more.
And that's why a lot of the local demand that I've been receiving here is for things like that. On-site workforce trainings, train your team to use Claude Code and get everyone set up, get them set up with 1 to 2 workflows so they can save time in their day. It's a hands-on, half day to full day session, depending on the number of people. I think that's going to keep coming up as businesses see, okay, these tools are here. How do I make sure my workforce is using it in an efficient way?
So you won $10,000 at the start of Humboldt competition.
Yeah.
How are you going to deploy those funds into building grounded AI?
Yeah, good question. So the disbursement is going to happen via milestones. So I'll get the funds at specific set points that are, I think the first one is like closing my first local client, who's based in Humboldt County. And so I see it as just assisting primarily with operations at this point, subscription costs, travel costs, just logistics costs at this point. And then in the future, as grounded AI grows and expands and demand increases, which I've already seen happen exponentially, then it goes to hiring
Nice.
folks. Yeah. I want to hire local employees.
That'd be really cool. What do you think? What did you think about the Startup Humboldt competition in terms of the mentorship and you being able to pivot in your business and create what you ended up pitching and then winning? How was that whole process like?
It was amazing. Being able to take these classes with 23 other local entrepreneurs, getting to know what other people's ventures were, spending time with them. We had to practice a lot of just public speaking and pitching from the first class. It was like, get up and say your name, your company, and what you do. And that gave us the opportunity to, just throwing us in the deep end of just refining how we talked about our business over time. And I think everyone got just exponentially better at that with those classes. I think too, it helped everything feel more real. And it gave me access to really just up-to-date customer feedback, because you think about the work I do. I work with local businesses and local business owners. Those semifinalists, those are all potential clients, So for me, it was like, oh, let's get some feedback. People who are anti-AI. Why are you anti-AI? What do you read about that gives you concern? People who are, very excited about it. Oh, what do you want to do with AI? What are you currently doing? So it really gave me this, free, unfettered access to just local business owners' opinions about AI, which helped me make my business better and more catered to what local business owners need.
I'm glad to hear that. It's really awesome to see all the development that we're able to create here at Startup Humboldt. When I graduated, I started working at the SBDC here as an intern when we were in Eureka, and a few months after I got hired on, they said, we're moving to Arcata, we're doing the Startup Humboldt thing, and we want you to be the building manager. And I was like, okay. I was like, sounds good. This is I like this deal. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so, seeing, and you were one of the original faces that came in within that first
timing.
year.
I mean, I moved back it's been almost a year. May 31st last year is when I moved back. And then I was at La Familia and I saw a poster for Startup Humboldt. I'm like, what? Startups? I thought moving back here, I'd be doing remote work for the rest of my life. I just didn't think there was a community like this here. And then I was like, okay, I need to figure out what this is. And then I contacted you at sometime last summer and we talked. Yeah.
I'm so glad you got intertwined in this community, and there's other people who are remote workers or, this or that. And you hear and they're like, they need a community because they have some really great stuff going on.
I feel very strongly about that. Actually, I need to say I've spoken to a handful of people since moving back who are tech folks who have offices in the Bay Area and they work here, they live here, they work remotely. I just think that's their brilliance, their brains going to companies that are Bay Area based, I think is a shame for Humboldt County. And I would love for an ecosystem, tech companies to be here so that they can contribute their knowledge, their skill sets to our local economy. And that's another reason why I felt so strongly about starting Grounded AI, because I just didn't want all of us tech people to be working remotely and outsourcing our knowledge to the Bay Area that already has plenty of tech talent.
Totally. I think it's good to hear that you were able to make those connections, and I love to just see all this development right before my face because I'm here all the time, and so every time I see you come in the building, I'm like it's great to see because I know that you're making progress and development with your business, and seeing you at the beginning phases and then throughout your process.
Yeah.
I love to see it.
Are you interested in starting a small business? We've had the opportunity to interview dozens of local entrepreneurs behind the Redwood Curtain. You can reach out to your local small business development center to receive free one-on-one advising today. Back to the show.
Do you think that we're implementing AI fast enough in our higher education system, or do you think we are not implementing it fast enough?
I mean, I think a number of higher education institutions are trying to implement AI programs right now because folks that are graduating from college need to be equipped with the real world as it stands and the tools that businesses are using. They need to be able to get jobs and be competitive in the workforce now. So I think, yeah, Cal Poly Humboldt, they're already doing this. There's the new Applied Humanities BA with a concentration, and I think it's technology and human values. I don't know the exact term, but they have something that they're creating that's going to be AI related. And then on the technical side, they're working on an appropriate computing certificate and eventual graduate program. And they just wrapped up a speaker series that I went to at Cal Poly. And I think that was great, being able to bring in, experts in the field and to come to Cal Poly Humboldt and speak to students and community members was really powerful. And I hope that, these institutions keep doing that.
Is there anything that you want to share with our audience? Anything that we haven't talked about yet that you really want to hit home with our viewers here at Behind the Redwood Curtain?
I would say one thing I want to touch on before we end is AI really being an economic opportunity for rural communities like Humboldt. Just in the past few days, Anthropic and OpenAI both launched their own service-based businesses for mid-sized companies. So what that means is there's a gap between here's these big models and here's what they could do. So many companies, not just here, are like, okay, but what do I actually do with that? How do I actually implement it in my business? So much so that these giant AI companies see an opportunity to really go in and make more money by building custom workflows for these businesses. That's Grounded AI's business model already. These mid-sized businesses in cities are at a disadvantage because they have so many other tools, legacy systems, et cetera, that they're using today. It's the smaller businesses, like ones that are here in Humboldt, that have an economic advantage, I really believe. If they have the right tools and the right education about those tools, they can move faster than these companies. And that's what I'm here to do and what I'm here to help local businesses with. And there's no other locally based AI, consultant, founder who is focused on our area in particular. And I think that's why I've had so much traction here, because an outside consultant from the Bay Area is not going to be focused on hiring local employees and training local folks how to use AI so that they can also do what I do. And that's what I'm focused on, is hiring and growing this company as a local first institution with Humboldt County values front and center.
We really appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you for all that great advice. And thank you for continuing to educate us on the benefits of AI. So
Yeah.
we hope to, we're excited to see what you do next. And we thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is really great.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you.